Crime is sexy.
4 killers who showed no remorse in court. Number 4. This is Ronnie ONeill, and he's a double murder suspect in Riverview, Florida. He was 29 years old when he fatally shot his girlfriend Kenyatta Barron and then murdered their 9-year-old daughter by striking her multiple times with a hatchet. ONeill also stabbed their 8-year-old son before pouring gasoline all over the house and setting it on fire. ONeill was arrested upon fleeing the burning house. The son was able to escape but was critically wounded and suffered from burns. The first 911 call on the incident was from Barron, who was heard screaming before suddenly hanging up. 8 minutes later, another call came in from ONeill. He said, "Hey, I've just been attacked by some white demons inside." "What's inside?" Kiki. Her name is Kiki, and she tried to kill me." After his arrest, ONeill was psychologically cleared to represent himself in court. During the trial, he cross-examined his now 11-year-old son, who he had stabbed. The son explained everything that happened. ONeill also accused the prosecution of fabricating evidence. After ONeill was found guilty, the judge called this the worst case she had ever seen. She said, "This is the worst case ever in my life, and I have seen some horrors." ONeill was given a total of 3 life sentences plus 90 years without parole. Despite the heinous crimes he committed, ONeill showed no remorse. He said, "I'm not sorry for something I didn't do, and I'm not sorry for the things I did do." Number 3. This is Randall Moore, a man who was once married to Teresa Ann Lynch and is currently facing 3 life sentences for crimes against his former wife. After Lynch left her husband and filed for a protective order against him, Moore kidnapped and killed her. Officer Todd Rowland responded to the cries from the apartment where Lynch was being held and was shot and wounded by Moore. Following the incident, Moore had a phone call with a 911 dispatcher where he explained that all he wanted was to see his 7-month-old baby, but he was denied access by Lynch. Soon after, Moore surrendered and Officer Rowland underwent surgery for his injuries. During the trial, Moore was found guilty of murder in the first degree, kidnapping in the first degree, sexual abuse in the first degree, and attempted murder. Lynch's mother gave a victim impact statement where she described Moore as evil, hateful, and despicable for what he'd done to her daughter. Moore refused to apologize for his actions, stating that he'd no remorse for what had happened to Lynch. At his sentencing, the judge acknowledged the severity of Moore's crimes, stating that if they could punish him more than they already were, they would. Moore was given 3 life sentences plus an additional 25 years for the attempted murder. Number 2. This is Keith Ferguson from Kalkaska, Michigan, who was a 40-year-old man who'd been married to Tiffany Ferguson for several years before their relationship hit a rough patch. The couple began arguing over a divorce, which soon turned violent. In a fit of rage, Keith began to physically assault his wife, eventually shooting her in front of their 4 children. After fatally shooting Tiffany, Keith took their children to her parents' house where he proceeded to shoot and kill his father-in-law. The motive for this senseless act of violence was never clear, but it was later revealed that Keith had been struggling with mental health issues for some time. As if the tragedy of 2 deaths were not enough, Keith then took a nearby homeowner hostage, barricading himself inside their home for 7 hours. The police eventually caught him and took him into custody, but the damage had already been done. At his court appearance, Keith showed no remorse for his actions. His behavior left many baffled, and Tiffany's best friend even gave a victim impact statement, stating she'd always felt Keith would hurt his wife. She recounted how Tiffany had always responded, saying that he loved their children too much to even harm her. The judge presiding over the case acknowledged that Keith did not meet the clinical definition of insanity, but something was fundamentally wrong with him. He was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Number 1. This is Michael Swanson, who was only 17 years old when he went on a killing spree that left 2 Iowa gas station attendants dead in the span of an hour. Swanson coldly shot Vicky Bowman Hall and Sheila Myers despite them following his demands for cash and cigarettes. He was eventually arrested 60 miles away from the second shooting when authorities identified his vehicle. Swanson was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of burglary. Throughout the trial, Swanson showed no remorse for his actions, even laughing and smiling as he was sentenced to life in prison. He admitted to intentionally shooting both victims with the specific intent to kill them, stating that he did it to feel powerful. During victim impact statements, one of the victim's daughters pleaded with Swanson to express remorse and acknowledge the pain he caused her family. However, Swanson remained emotionless and did not apologize for his actions. It became clear that murder was Swanson's primary goal, as both victims followed his requests but were still killed. Swanson's behavior was unpredictable and dangerous, as he even slit another inmate's throat 4 years into his life sentence. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.